The Black Mental Health Matters. I'm Dr. Carrie Ann Williams. I'm a psychiatrist practicing here in Massachusetts, and this is a show that's all about mental wellness in the Black community and beyond. Today I have a brief show for you, and this one is for all of you tech gurus out there. This is about gadgets that can help you with your mental health. So if you are into techie stuff and gadgets, this is a show for you. Now, I should say that most gadgets that are designed to help with mental health use this concept called biofeedback. This is a common thread for most of the gadgets that I'm going to talk about today. Our emotional responses are preceded by or accompanied by changes in our bodies. Some of these changes can be slight, imperceptible even, or otherwise difficult to notice. For example, changes in heart rate will be difficult for us to notice without something to kind of actually pick that up. Some of the changes would be impossible for us to feel. For example, changes in our brain waves. That would be something we wouldn't be able to detect without a device. So biofeedback generally requires the use of gadgets that would show us what's happening inside our bodies. And so these gadgets provide information, or what we call feedback, about our biological reaction to stress. Now, the general categories that I'm going to go over some of the top gadgets that I've been interested in and impressed by. And I'm going to divide it into some categories. The first category is going to be headbands or headsets. The second category will be wrist or hand devices. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about one tabletop device that can be helpful. And can I just say, some of these devices would make really great gifts for people. So I probably should have done this show like 2 months ago when people were still thinking about gift giving. So let's start off with the headbands or the headsets. For headbands and headsets, I'm starting with one that I've mentioned on the show before. It's called the Muse headband. And this gadget uses a type of biofeedback that uses our brain waves. So because it uses our brain waves, it's called neurofeedback. And this particular one, the Muse headband, helps with meditation and with focus. It provides the biofeedback by sensing your brain waves and converting that information in the headset into a soothing sound like rain, for example. And so the idea is that based on your brain waves, when your mind is calm and settled, you'll hear the soothing sound, of rain. But if your mind is busy and turbulent, the headset will make those brain waves sound like stormy weather. So it's important to know that the Muse headset or headband does not emit anything. It can't change your brain waves directly. It's basically just a sensor, just in the same way that a heart rate monitor can't change your heart rate, it just senses your heart rate. The Muse senses your brain waves and converts that information into a form that you can interpret in some way. Now, the information from the Muse headband then connects with an app on your phone. And it can give you the information collected in the form of graphs. And that means that over time, you can improve your ability to calm your own brain waves. Again, the headset doesn't change it directly, but over time, as you use this product and you get the feedback, your brain automatically starts adjusting over time. So you just have the information. Your body kind of naturally figures out how to change the numbers on its own once it's made aware. There's a Muse S headband that specifically helps with sleep. And this is a great medication-free way to help improve your sleep. And there's other sounds besides rain or weather. There's a beach, there's rainforest, there's birds singing, city park, there's a few different things to choose from. You get to choose what you prefer. And then there's also corporate programs where you can order multiple devices and subscriptions for your team. If this is something that you try and you like it and you think, gosh, this is something that, could be helpful for other people that I know. So that's the Muse headband. The second one that I want to talk about is another neurofeedback device, and this one is called Mendi. Mendi was developed in Sweden, and I think it goes a step further than the Muse in that it's kind of a step closer to traditional neurofeedback. Because traditional neurofeedback sessions are done by a professional in in an office, and you go in and it's kind of expensive. It's not covered by insurance. But with Mendi, you can do some of that similar kind of brain training, but without having to go to a practitioner. So it pairs with an app on your phone, and you get to see a game that you use to do the brain training. So when you do traditional neurofeedback, you would be doing brain training essentially. But with Mendi, you can do that brain training with a game on an app. So you're kind of doing it on your own. And so it's technically, at least they claim, it is a clinical grade. It's a clinical grade system. And it's designed by people who have practiced neurofeedback and decided to develop this technology that would be an at-home technology for you. And the Mendi is not just about meditation and stress relief only. It seems to address mental wellness more broadly. And you really only need, 2 to 3 10-minute sessions per week for it to work. It also uses this kind of light that reads the blood flow in your brain, and they call that FNIRS, or functional near infrared spectroscopy. So if you run a clinic or a center, and you've been wanting your clients to have access to neurofeedback, but you think it's just not possible because it's so expensive, it's not covered by insurance, people don't have the time, maybe this could be a potential solution, considering the Mendi, having your clinic provide that, for your clients, and they can do something, at least similar to what a professional might do. They can get some kind of intervention. It's not just an all or none where they either have totally professional or nothing at all. They can kind of go a step in between and try an at-home device, maybe something to consider. So I like the idea of that, just personally because of the accessibility. Access to care is a really big thing. And so that's why I find these at-home devices to be very interesting, at least. And, as long as the claims that they make are accurate, that it will help with those things, then I think it's worth trying out. The next headband that I was intrigued by is called The Cove. The Cove. It costs $490. And it sends little vibrations behind your ears for about 20 minutes a day. And these vibrations target key brain areas that are involved with stress. So the theory with the Cove is that it's this idea that it's very comforting to have human touch. And so what we know is that human touch is processed in a neurological system called the interoceptive system. The interoceptive system, that's what the Cove targets. It targets the interoceptive system. So in particular, it affects a region of the brain called the insular cortex, which is part of the interoceptive system. And what it does is it gives you some of the same calming effects that you might have from human touch. So it doesn't use electricity, it doesn't use magnetic waves or anything like that. It's just a gentle vibration. And over a period of time of using the device, those brain pathways that are involved with interoception will become strengthened, and we can actually build your resiliency to stress over time, which I think is pretty cool. And it can also help with improving sleep quality with continued use. So that's the Cove. The next gadget that I found interesting is called the Flow headset. The Flow headset. And this is a medication-free way to treat depression. It basically uses a technology called transcranial direct current stimulation. Transcranial direct current stimulation. It's quite a mouthful, but this TDCS basically stimulates the brain. It's different from the Muse headband Because remember the Muse headband and then like the neurofeedback ones like Mendy, they don't actually emit anything or change anything. But this Flow headset, it does. It actually provides stimulation to the brain for the treatment of depression. And this technology, according to their website, has been researched since the 1990s. It was finally approved in Europe for home use in 2019. So this device kind of stimulates the front of the brain and influences an area that's called the prefrontal cortex. That part of the brain is responsible for organization and planning, memory, attention, inhibiting impulsivity, and it helps you have better control over your thoughts. You're kind of filtering your thoughts. And the makers of the device claim that you should feel a reduction in depression in about 4 to 6 weeks. But the downside of the Flow headset is that it is not available in the United States. It is available in Europe. So suppose that if you have a friend or a relative living on the other side of the pond, maybe you can ask them to help you out with that, but it does not deliver to the US. But I think it's a really great idea because it's again, it's an at-home treatment that is providing a type of therapy that not very many people have access to. Generally, if people want to have access to this kind of brain stimulation therapy, they would have to, it would be kind of inconvenient. They'd have to, be able to go to a center multiple times, out of their kind of general routine to be able to have this treatment done. So it's having an at-home kit is just way more convenient as long as it is effective. So under the headband category, I'm going to sneak in an additional device. It's not a headband, but it's kind of in the region of a headband. And it's actually a patch that's placed behind the ear. It's the Think Technologies, it's called the Feelzing patch, And previous to the, kind of similar to a previous device that I spoke about, it does deliver stimulation, like, the one I just spoke about, the Flow headset, it delivers stimulation, but this one is actually a different kind of thing. It's called transcutaneous peripheral nerve stimulation, okay, or TPNS. And what that means is that it's just delivering the stimulation through the skin to a part of your nervous system called the peripheral nervous system. And this has the goal of boosting energy and focus. So if energy and focus is what you're looking for, this might be the device for you. We know that people tend to use coffee or caffeinated beverages for energy and focus, but the downside of caffeine is that it can make people jittery. It can affect your sleep because it's kind of still in your bloodstream. It still kind of stays in your body for a while. And I know for myself, caffeine can cause stomach aches for some people. But with this device, the Feelzing patch, people would be expected to be calm and comfortable, but yet energized and focused. And it doesn't affect sleep at night. There's no caffeine still in your body. So it helps to balance the two opposing states of your nervous system so that you're not overly anxious and stressed, but you're also not lethargic and unmotivated. It just balances it. So what does it stimulate? You may have guessed that it stimulates the vagus nerve, but it also stimulates two other nerves, the greater auricular and the lesser occipital nerves. And it's just a 7-minute period of stimulation, and then you can remove the patch, and the effects will last up to 6 hours. It's not approved in children, so you must be 18 or older to use this device. And there's some research to back it up. It's not FDA approved. A lot of the wellness devices, like general wellness devices, may not have FDA approval, and this one does not. So those are the headbands or the kind of headsets. I'm going to move on to the wrist and the hand devices. So the first wristband that I want to talk about is called nightwear. I first became aware of this device back in 2020. It's a device that helps people who chronically suffer with nightmares. So this is of particular interest to folks with post-traumatic stress disorder. People with chronic nightmares have highly disrupted sleep, and they can end up with daytime fatigue and low productivity, and they're at higher risk for both mental and physical health problems. So the nightwear is a wristband that's basically at what they call a prescription digital therapeutic. So it does require a prescription from a medical professional. It's considered a medical grade device. It evaluates your stress index during sleep. It tracks your heart rate and your body movements, and it uses the information that it gets to determine whether or not you're most likely experiencing a nightmare at that time. And so if it detects that, it delivers these very short vibrations to interrupt the nightmares without waking you up. And it uses Apple Watch technology. So it uses the Apple Watch heart sensor, accelerometer, and gyroscope to determine if you're having a nightmare. So that being said, the nightwear device is not an app. It is actually like when your doctor writes a prescription for the device, you actually receive a kit that includes a pre-programmed nightwear Apple Watch and a pre-programmed iPhone. So it'd be separate from your own Apple Watch or your own Apple iPhone. And it's a device that is not for people that have really severe issues, like if you're sleepwalking or acting out your dreams. It's not validated for that kind of severe night kind of disorder. And it's not yet approved for youth under age 22. So you got to be an adult, 22 or older. It's considered FDA cleared. And the downside is it is pretty much only available through the VA or the Department of Defense right now. So if you are a veteran, you may be able to have access to this through the VA. It's not covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance at this time. I couldn't find on the website whether it was if they accepted private payments, but what they did say is that you can contact them to inquire for more information. If this is a technology that you're interested in, but you're not a veteran, and you're willing to kind of figure out the cost and private pay, maybe reach out to them and find out more. But I was really interested in this because I primarily treat people who have PTSD and who have chronic nightmares. But most of my patients are under age 22, so this instrument has not been validated for that age group. But I'm just holding out hope that one day it will be widely available and will be approved for a younger age group, as long as it is in fact effective. And if so, then it would be a great way to, again, reduce the medication load for folks that have had to rely on medications to treat sleep problems and nightmares. So that's the nightwear kind of wristband. The next device is called the Apollo Neuro. The Apollo Neuro. It's a stress relief wearable device. It's about $349. And the website refers to it as a wearable hug. A wearable hug. And it's based on the idea that the sense of touch is a human experience that's generally linked to feeling safe. So this device kind of helps with a lot of things. One thing that it targets is a heart rate variability, or HRV, and this is of particular importance for athletes. It targets focus, it targets sleep, your sense of calmness, and your physical recovery. And it's based on research coming out of the University of Pittsburgh. And the claim is that it can help to enhance your performance under stress, particularly over a period of time. You can place it on the wrist or the ankle, and it offers an answer to this chronic stress problem, this chronic stress that can be so destructive, helps to address that. So this device generates a light vibration that's recognized by the body as a soothing touch. And there are various modes. So for example, there's like an energy and wake up mode that promotes wakefulness and attention. There's a relax and unwind mode that stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, or the PNS, and that's your kind of your relax and digest system. And there's a sleep and renew mode that activates the same PNS and promotes sleep. So those are just a few examples. One question I had was, can it be used in kids? Well, when I scrolled down the page on the website, they featured a nurse practitioner who said that she had been using it successfully in children. So it seems like the answer to that is yes. However, I couldn't find an established age range. So I would be very interested in knowing, what's the cutoff age that this device has been used in. Because again, if this is, I have a lot of, youth that would be happy to use wearable devices. And if it's helpful for them, again, it could help their overall functioning and mental wellness. They would be happy to use that, but it would be helpful to know what the cutoff age range is. So that I don't know. But I think it's a promising technology, and it seems to, there's some testimonials on the website and all of that. So that's the Apollo Neuro. Now, under the wrist hand kind of device section, I'm gonna sneak in a device. It's basically a ring, and it's called the Oura ring, and you gotta have to forgive me if I don't pronounce that correctly. It's O-U-R-A, Oura ring. It's a ring you put on your finger, and it monitors your heart rate and your sleep. And it also tracks your balance of activity versus rest. And it measures your body temperature, which can be an indicator of stress level. Though I would venture to say that measuring your body temperature on an extremity like your finger is probably not going to be a very accurate reading of your body temperature. However, it is an interesting concept, and it's convenient to track your body's signals simply using a ring on the finger. I feel like that has that going for it. It's kind of very unintrusive kind of technology to have. It's the smallest one that I had found was just a simple ring, and not so if you're somebody who doesn't like wearing watches or you don't want to put a headband on, having a ring could be really, really convenient. I feel like I'd need a little bit more information on the reliability of the data, given that a finger as an extremity may not always provide the most reliable information about what's going on in the body. But the concept is great, and this device does cost about $300. So again, if you're interested in having kind of smaller devices that you can use to address your sleep and heart rate and things like that, it seems like this ring could be one to think about. Now, moving along from the wrist to the finger to the fingertip, I want to talk about the next device, which is called the PIP, P-I-P. And it detects what's known as electrodermal activity. And this is the activity on the surface of your skin. It's kind of the ability of the surface of your skin to conduct electrical currents. So basically, when we get stressed, our body can generate imperceptible amounts of sweat on the surface of the skin. Just a tiny amount that we wouldn't even know it's there, but a device like this would be sensitive enough to pick it up. And so that tiny amount of sweat can conduct mild electrical currents, and then that gives a measure of what your stress level is. To basically place this device between your thumb and your index finger, and it sends information to an app on your phone or your tablet. And they use a HIPAA compliant data storage system, so your information should be fairly safe. And then the app can coach you through strategies to reduce your stress level, and that will all be kind of measurable using the device. So I thought the PIP was interesting because, again, it's using this kind of different technology. It's using the very slight amounts of sweat on the surface of your skin. And so that will be accurate on your finger. I'm not as worried about that as with the ring and the temperature. I was maybe a little bit more concerned that your body temperature is not going to be so accurate on your extremity. But with sweat on the tip of your fingers, I'm less concerned about that because that is a known response to stress. And that would be measurable using that device. So it's a very interesting concept. Again, very unintrusive to kind of just have something small that you just hold in between your thumb and your index finger. And, it just kind of measures, gives you information about what's going on and coaches you through strategies that you can use to reduce your stress level. So that's the PIP. Lastly, I wanted to just talk about tabletop devices. And I really just wanted to mention one. And the one I wanted to mention is basically a light therapy lamp. A light therapy lamp. A lot of people want to know about light therapy, particularly in the winter months, particularly for seasonal depression. And I've been tracking, light therapy lamp models for a long time now, actually for several years, because my patients ask me about it all the time. They ask me, should I use a light therapy lamp? Which one is the best one? And really the key, because there's so many out there, the key is that any light therapy lamp needs to be at least 10,000 lux in intensity. And you really only need to use it for 10 to 15 minutes a day in the morning. In any case, the lamp that I've seen consistently show up on different internet reviews and ratings that's just kind of seem to be in the top lists for a long period of time is actually one called the Verilux Happy Light Therapy Lamp. The Verilux Happy Light Therapy Lamp. It seems to have stayed in the top ratings. Every time I check, every year I check, it kind of keeps popping up. So I think somebody likes it. I think people have been using it and it's been getting good ratings. And they meet the criteria. They meet the standard criteria for light therapy. It's a convenient tabletop device. And when you go to the website, they have several different kind of models that you can choose from. And light therapy is a proven treatment for seasonal depression. Now, there's another light therapy lamp that I've recommended to my patients in the past. Usually, I haven't really recommended the tabletop one so much. It just kind of depends on the person's situation. But the one that I recommended was a medical grade light therapy lamp. It's actually a floor lamp and not a desk. It's not a tabletop one. It's a floor lamp. And the one I recommended comes from Northern Light Technologies. Northern Light Technologies, and it's called they have a flamingo floor lamp. A flamingo floor lamp. It's about $260, but it's worth the investment if you've tried the tabletop devices and they're not working for you. So it's a kind of probably top grade, but also top dollar. And I also just want to say, if you've tried a tabletop lamp or a floor lamp for light therapy, and it has all the correct specifications and everything, but it's still not working for your seasonal depression, you should probably consult with a professional. Sometimes a treatment intervention is unhelpful because it's not actually the right one for you, or because maybe you need more than just a light therapy lamp. So, and of course, this principle goes for all the gadgets that I spoke about today. These kind of gadgets and things are primarily for people that have mild to moderate issues, and they often work best if used in conjunction with meeting with a professional. So if you just have a mild issue, maybe the gadgets alone might be sufficient. But if you maybe have a moderate mental health issue, you may need to kind of have the gadget, but then maybe with a professional in addition to that, because maybe that your issues may not be straightforward or simple. So you may want to consider that. So guys, that is my show today. It's a brief show today just on tech and mental health. I'd be interested to know what gadgets, what devices, what wearables, and what apps have you used to boost your mental health? Because I'm sure there's some out there that people are finding to be very helpful, but maybe I don't know. So tell me what you've liked and what you've been using. Let me know, and maybe I'll share it on a future episode. I can have a follow-up with some other tech that the people have recommended. But for now, take care, and I will see you next time. Have a great week.